guess my question for you is, what made you decide that you wanted to be an Imago therapist and not a regular marriage counselor?
Well, in my early days of my career, I did regular marriage counseling, and it was essentially being a referee in a boxing ring, and
Yes.
it didn't really seem like it went anywhere.
Yes.
And could I reach détente with the couple? Yes. Would it really evolve beyond that? Not really. And, I got the feeling that, they would have to come in more for tune-ups.
Yes.
Or even more than that, especially if a bigger issue came up. I found that when I learned about Imago, I decided that this was, first off, it made a lot of sense to me. And then secondly, once I was able to put it into practice after I completed my training a number of years ago, I found that the couples responded better, at least with empathy and compassion, because they're trying to view their partner through that lens now.
Agreed.
Which I don't have to play referee as much.
Agreed.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I always say to couples when they come in, this is not regular couples therapy, where I get to sit and face you and listen to you. I love to use the term vomit for 45 minutes because it really is a 45-minute session in typical couples therapy. Not that listen, there's some wonderful non-Imago couples therapists out there for sure. It just isn't my wheelhouse.
Right.
And I always used to say, and I do say to the couples that come in, I'll say to them that if I'm leaving dissatisfied, then I can't imagine how you're feeling. And I do also agree that it's more about them choosing who's right and wrong, as opposed to the way that we were taught as Imago therapists, that two perceptions exist in the same space, both are right. So they both are right. There is no, yes, is the truth there somewhere? Absolutely. But when people come in and present something to you, it's who's really telling the truth. It's like you could have three people grow up in a family, and all three children will have a different experience of what their home life was like. So it is really all based on perception. It truly is. And realizing what connects you to your past that brings you into this full-blown reactivity in the present.
Right. So I often use an analogy with my trusty cup of tea with the handle, and I put it typically between the two. And
Yes.
I say, which side is the handle on? And
Yes.
one person says it's on the right, one says it's on the left.
Right.
And I said, well, who's right and who's wrong?
I love it. Yeah.
And they'll say, well, neither. And I said, well, maybe I'm right because it's in front of me.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So we all have a different perception.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean
We do.
we're all right
Yeah.
and we're all wrong relative to the other.
True. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. But it does. It makes you, is this a lot more work from your perspective? I think so. But I feel more satisfied, especially with couples that get it.
Well, especially if they're willing to do a deeper dive and try to connect the psychodynamic piece of how they grew up
Yes.
versus how it's reflected in the relationship today. I
Yes.
think that's the more satisfying piece too, is because you can see growth that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's almost, while it's not definitive or it's not empirical, it still shows growth because you can see the change in thinking,
Yes. Yes.
and emoting as well,
Yes.
because you start to see compassion,
Yes.
and you can see when one person finally becomes vulnerable, the other one will tear up as well,
Yes.
because they're realizing that they're playing a role in this person's inability to feel safe in vulnerability.
Yes. Agreed. I find myself during those situations when you just said that, I just went back to, I get choked up. And I know you're a very sensitive man. You probably get choked up too.
Once in a while, because
Yeah,
even though I was I'm a military veteran, I'm a romantic at heart.
Oh, absolutely.
And, the good Grail romance books and literature always appealed to me. So I like the happily ever after story.
Yes.
And if it's harder to generate for most of us. But if I can help one couple and however many to actually reach whatever it is their dream of that happiness, I feel like I did something good in the world. So.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I always say that if I can touch one couple at a time, then that's more connected couples, which also means more connected children, which means less negative byproducts of families.
Right.
Because what we try to do, I think, as Imago therapists, and I know you do too,
Sure.
is we also have families that come in.
Absolutely.
I had a family come in yesterday, and it really is about them trying to understand how to talk to their children,
Right.
you know?
Sure. And I think it's good to, especially with intergenerational trauma.
Yes.
If you can get a couple to see that they bring a bunch of their parents' stuff to the table,
Yes.
that I use the phrase often as they start on their healing journey, that a lot of the stuff you endured as a child can die with you, and you don't have to pass it to your children.
Yes.
And they can live a better, a healthier life.
It's kind of like the phrase that we use is you can actually reparent yourself
Right.
and be a parent to yourself while you're parenting your child.
Right. And I think people struggle with that sometimes, and especially in the early days of joining Imago, a therapist such as us.
Yes.
Because on the
Agreed.
one hand, it's like they're trying to do so many things at the same time. Work,
Yeah.
raise children, engage in an intimate relationship with someone that they did love
Yeah.
and continue to, but they're
Yeah.
strained, and trying to work on all of that at the same time is very difficult. So one of my favorite phrases is small changes over time.
Yes.
You can only
Baby
do
steps.
so much.
It's like baby
Absolutely.
steps, Bob.
Right.
What about Bob? Baby steps, Bob. Baby steps.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.